There's no doubt in my mind that I actually owe my playing career and my enjoyment of playing the violin to Sophie and the till approach. I not only was able to move on from a playing injury, but really reframe my relationship with the violin and with music in general as a much more healthy one now, and I'm eternally grateful.
On an average day, I'll see a 4-year-old, someone from a high-level professional orchestra, an undergraduate, graduate, and maybe a teacher in a lesson. And that speaks volumes about how applicable this information is across the board to all players.
It's a method that allows your body to work in the way that it's designed to, and therefore not only do you not have pain or injury, you also play with greater ease, and it sounds much better.
When something feels good in the body, we know it's right. There's this aha moment. We all have this capacity. This feels good, this doesn't. We don't wear shoes that don't fit for obvious reasons. So we know what feels good, and our bodies are choosing patterns throughout the day, patterns of movement that mean we can move with ease and with power and with speed. And what I learned was what those patterns are and how we can take them in the very specific requirements that playing makes on us, and then also into the music making at the highest level.
The movements from the body have to make sense to the body. I think this just gives a really, really clear language and vocabulary that you can use and build to understand exactly what happens in the movement of your body, large and small movements that give you really precise sound.
So what we're doing is we're taking that physical logic to the very specific tasks of playing our instruments. That means flying around in thirds, tenths, tremolos, rests, soft playing, absolutely specific requirements of our instruments. And we're using the same physical logic. That way, there's no gap between technique and music.
A couple of years ago, I had a really bad fall and damaged my shoulder rather badly, my right shoulder, and found after I'd sort of recovered that I just couldn't really bow on my viola, that my bow arm was shaking, like I was incredibly nervous, but it was just in the practice room and there was no reason to be nervous. And so I was diagnosed with focal dystonia. And that's pretty much one of the worst things you can be diagnosed with as a musician.
I had been dealing with a musician's injury called musician's focal dystonia, which is normally considered a career-ending injury.
Thankfully, a friend of mine put me onto Sophie's website, and I contacted Sophie, and she basically said, well, you know, let's go on the journey to recovery.
So I contacted Sophie and had a lesson with her. And basically, I've been with her ever since. I can say that I consider myself recovered from focal dystonia, which is something that many people think is impossible, but I'm here to tell you that it's not. And it is thanks to this approach to playing that really takes advantage of the body's physical logic. And I think that that's what makes it unique, and that has what made my recovery very durable. Now I get to be a part of sharing the information that helped me recover with other people.
Tied to the physical technique that gets people out of pain is endless musical possibility, and that is something that anybody can enjoy and benefit from.
So I think many musicians get to maybe their middle age or their middle career and tend to feel a little bit stuck. They may have got their job, they may be teaching in an institution or playing in an orchestra, and suddenly it's like, well, now what? And this work is fantastic for giving people new tools for expression and for virtuosity.
There's always this moment after a concert where I sort of review, did I do well or not? And I feel that with the Till approach, I can much more quickly analyze what went wrong when something does go wrong. Now I'm aware of so many more possibilities in terms of how the body can move, how the body should move, that it's given me a lot more structure to my practice, and my practice feels more directed.
I think the interesting thing about the development of the information is that it's been top down, not bottom up. So professional players started to come, and I would ask a question and they would reveal a pattern that their brain and body were using that they'd learned as a small child. And that was when I started to realize that these patterns are put into us, these physical patterns are put into us at a very early age.
We're really wanting to build healthy techniques in our children from the get-go, which is what most teachers would say they would want to do. However, we get the great opportunity to do with this information, which means that hopefully if they build up block upon block, they will end up with having a huge bank of knowledge which will enable them to access a really healthy violin playing technique and viola playing and cello playing and all the instruments.
Through my work with Sally, we started to develop this children's pedagogy through movement.
What I love about Sophie's teaching, sometimes she would just make me put my violin down and she would make me move and walk around the room, like just forget about the violin, think that you're doing this, and now take the idea and put it right on the violin.
You know, we all bring different perspectives to this work, all four of us who are involved because of our personal experiences. So I really enjoy working with musicians with dystonia to see the joy that they experience when they're given back not only their livelihood, but the thing that brings them the greatest happiness in their life that they thought was lost to them. That's just the most amazing thing.
I didn't realize that it was going to be a lifelong exploration of all the different information and how it all works together. But that makes sense because actually the really good things go really, really deep. And this is a body of knowledge which means that you can explore it forever and ever.
Music is about joy, and it's about giving ourselves joy, and it's about giving other people joy. And with this approach, that comes all the way right from our feet, right from the point of our toes to the tip of our bows. It's an all-body experience, and it's, to be honest, it's simply glorious.